started this semester by looking at Spanish colonialism in the Americas. And I had asked the students first to read an article about Native American life before the Spanish arrived, and then what the Spanish brought with them culturally. And then they read an article called Chilies, Chocolate, and Race in New Spain, and it's by Rachel Loudon and Jeffrey Pilcher, and it's about how the Spanish brought their foodways to Central America, and not just their ways of eating, but their ways of thinking about food, and what foods had high status and what foods had low status. Many people wrote about mole, and this one student I was really intrigued by because she wrote about rice pudding.
So the process of doing the recipes was, first we had to read the articles and basically extract the main point out of it and relate any sort of recipe that we felt related to the main point, which was difficult at first, but it came to become more easy as I did more and more and got more experience to them. I learned that each article did have, in fact, a relationship to the main point and somehow related to different foodways.
It showed me that she had really understood the status element of the argument that the authors were making.
How I decided to do the rice pudding was actually, I saw that a lot of the foods mentioned within the article, it consisted of things such as rice, and I believe it was also milk in there. So I'm used to having rice pudding as a dish at home in general.
So by bringing rice with them from Spain to Central America, they were bringing a food that had resulted from their own colonization, rice. And they bring this with them. And then Priyanka, the student, had responded to the presence of rice in this article by thinking about her own family's history in India, where rice pudding was an important part of their foodways.
The Arabs took the rice with them to Spain, and the Spain essentially brought it with them to Mexico. The milk was obviously provided by the cows, which the Spanish had to bring along with them. It was an ingredient that became a part of the New World, and essentially it became a part of the Central American diet.
I took this recipe among a couple of other recipes. I thought hers was really good, so I took it to the culinary arts students at Kingsborough. And I was really pleased when they chose to make this rice pudding recipe and to adapt it and to play with it.
With the rice pudding, it was just really just a simple recipe.
Are we going to use the vanilla bean?
Yeah, I wrote the vanilla bean also. Oh yeah.
The only extra ingredient that we would add to the rice pudding was raisins that wasn't in the recipe. So we thought we'd give a little sweetener, extra sweetener, and it was pretty good. The texture with the rice was really amazing.
What we did different was we added sugar on top, and we ended up caramelizing it too.
You see all the torch and the fire coming into the dessert and the crust coming out. It's really nice when you crack the crust.
It's good for parties because who doesn't like fire?
That's really the story that Priyanka is finding, is that rice pudding, which is something she's familiar with from her home life, is actually something that has been adapted across a lot of different cultures. And then we saw this sort of last step of it being adapted into the culture of the Kingsborough Culinary Arts class. And I was really pleased to be able to bring back a picture from my journey to Kingsborough to show Priyanka that her recipe had been made.